intriguing things that Tyagi talks about is this concept of internal agreements.
Internal agreements.
And he suggests that we all have these core beliefs about ourselves and about the world that are operating beneath the surface, often without our conscious awareness.
So these internal agreements, are they kind of like the rules that we've subconsciously set for ourselves?
Precisely. Like the invisible contracts that we've kind of signed with ourselves, dictating what we believe is possible for us.
Oh, wow.
And here's the kicker. These agreements often stem from early childhood experiences.
Or messages that we've absorbed from society.
So we could be walking around with these limiting beliefs
that
we were essentially just handed.
Yeah.
And we're not even aware of them.
Yeah. And the impact of these agreements can be profound. I mean, they can shape everything from our relationships to our career choices to our overall sense of self-worth.
Whoa, that's pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah.
So if we are unconsciously agreeing to certain limitations, are we essentially blocking ourselves from experiencing something different?
Precisely. Think about it this way.
Okay.
If you have an internal agreement that you're not worthy of love, you might unconsciously sabotage your relationships or push away people who care about you.
Wow.
You're essentially creating a reality that confirms your belief, even if it's not what you truly desire.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy almost.
Exactly.
So this is a bit of a mind-bending concept.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see how it could play out in real life.
But if these agreements are operating beneath our conscious awareness, how do we even begin to identify them?
Yeah, that's where self-awareness becomes so crucial.
Okay.
Tyagi encourages us to pay attention to our recurring patterns, those situations that keep popping up in our lives, as well as our emotional reactions to those situations.
Okay.
So those patterns and reactions can offer valuable clues about our underlying beliefs.
So if we are constantly finding ourselves in relationships where we feel unappreciated, that could be a sign that we have an internal agreement about not being worthy of love.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like our subconscious mind is trying to show us where we have limiting beliefs that are holding us back.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, it can feel a little daunting to think about all of these unconscious forces shaping our lives.
Yeah, I understand that feeling. But, Tyagi's teachings offer a message of empowerment.
Okay.
He emphasizes that once we bring those unconscious agreements into conscious awareness, we have the power to change them.
So we're not just stuck with whatever limiting beliefs that we've inherited.
Yep.
We can actually rewrite those contracts.
Absolutely. And that's where things start to get really exciting.
I'm all ears. What are some of the ways that Tyagi suggests we can start to shift these internal agreements?
Well, he offers a range of practical techniques.
Okay.
But one of the most powerful is the power of conscious focus.
Okay.
He encourages us to shift our attention away from the problem, away from those limiting beliefs, and towards the reality that we desire.
So it's about choosing to focus on what we want rather than what we don't want.
Exactly. And that's not just some wishful thinking or positive affirmations.
Right.
It's about actively directing our mental energies towards the experiences, the relationships, the qualities we want to bring into our lives.
It's like we're consciously choosing which seeds we want to plant in the garden of our minds.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
I like that.
And just like any garden, it takes time, effort, and consistent nurturing to cultivate the reality we desire.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
This is all starting to feel very hopeful. It's like we are being reminded that we have so much more power and agency than we often realize.
Precisely. And that's one of the most liberating aspects of Tyagi's teachings.
Yeah.
He reminds us that we're not just victims of circumstance. We have the ability to consciously choose where we place our focus. And in doing so, we can shape the reality we experience.
That's an incredibly empowering message. But before we get too carried away with this idea of conscious creation, I want to go back to this idea that our consciousness is shifting through countless bodies every moment.
Oh, wow.
It was mentioned in the intro, and it's a pretty wild concept.
It is.
It is.
It is a mind-blowing concept, and we'll delve deeper into it later. But first, it's important to understand how our focus is shaping our reality right now in this very moment.
That makes sense. So before we explore those other realities, let's ground ourselves in the present moment and explore how our focus is influencing the experiences we're having right now.
Exactly, because ultimately the journey of transformation begins with understanding and mastering our own minds.
Well, I'm ready to embark on that journey.
I'm feeling inspired and eager to learn more about how we can harness the power of unconscious focus to create the lives we truly desire. I'm excited to explore that with you.
Welcome back, everyone. Last time we were exploring Sanjeev Tyaggi's idea of internal agreements.
Right.
Those subconscious beliefs that can shape our reality. It was a pretty eye-opening concept.
Absolutely. And what's so fascinating is that these internal agreements often manifest in our everyday reactions.
Okay.
You know, those moments when we react without thinking, almost as if on autopilot.
Oh, I know those moments all too well.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm surprised by my own reactions.
Yeah.
But you're saying these automatic responses are linked to those deeper hidden beliefs.
That's right.
Okay.
Think of it like this. Our subconscious mind is constantly scanning for threats and trying to protect us based on the rules it's been programmed with. Those internal agreements become the filters through which we interpret the world and react to it.
So if I have an internal agreement that I'm not good enough,
Right.
my subconscious might trigger a defensive reaction when my work is critiqued, even if the feedback is constructive.
Exactly. Your subconscious interprets the critique as a threat to your sense of worth based on that pre-existing belief.
Wow.
It's as if it's saying, see, I told you you weren't good enough.
That's incredible. It's like our subconscious is trying to confirm our own limiting beliefs, even if it's not helpful.
Precisely. Tyaggi calls this automatic creation.
Automatic creation.
He suggests that we're often unconsciously creating experiences that reinforce our existing beliefs, even if they're not serving us.
It's a bit of a sobering thought.
Right.
But the good news is if we can identify those internal agreements and those automatic reactions, we can start to change them, right?
Absolutely. Tyaggi encourages us to move from automatic creation to what he calls manual creation.
Manual creation.
It's about becoming conscious creators, actively shaping our reality, rather than being puppets of our subconscious programming.
I love that idea. But practically speaking, where do we even begin?
Well, Tyaggi offers a lot of practical guidance, and one of the most fundamental practices is mindfulness.
Okay, we touched on mindfulness earlier when we were talking about identifying those internal agreements. But how does mindfulness help us break free from those automatic reactions?
Think of mindfulness as hitting the pause button on autopilot. It's about becoming aware of your thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations in the present moment without judgment.
Okay.
When you practice mindfulness, you're essentially creating a space between the trigger, that event or situation that sets off the reaction, and your response.
So instead of immediately reacting, we're taking a moment to observe what's happening within us.
Precisely. And that moment of pause is crucial.
Okay.
It gives us the opportunity to choose a different response, one that's more aligned with our values and our desired outcome.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But it sounds easier said than done.
Right.
Especially when we're in the heat of the moment.
It definitely takes practice, but the more you cultivate that mindful awareness, the more skilled you become at catching those automatic reactions before they take over. Tyaggi also suggests a technique he calls self-inquiry.
Self-inquiry? What's that?
It's essentially about asking yourself questions to uncover the deeper beliefs and motivations behind your reactions. For example, let's say you're in a meeting at work and a colleague criticizes your idea.
Oh, I've definitely been there.
But instead of immediately reacting, you can pause and ask yourself, why am I feeling so defensive? Is it because I feel threatened? Or is it because I'm afraid of being seen as incompetent?
By asking those questions, we're essentially shining a light on those subconscious beliefs that are driving our reaction.
Exactly. And once we understand the root cause, we can start to address it. Maybe we need to work on our self-confidence, or maybe we need to challenge the belief that we need to be perfect all the time.
This is really powerful stuff. It's like we're becoming detectives of our own minds, trying to unravel those subconscious mysteries. But once we've identified those limiting beliefs and those automatic reactions, how do we actually change them?
That's where the work of conscious focus comes in. Remember how we were talking about shifting our attention to the reality we want to create?
Yes. The idea of manual creation, consciously shaping our experiences, rather than letting our subconscious run the show.
Exactly. One of the most powerful tools for this is visualization. Tyaggi emphasizes the importance of creating a clear mental picture of the reality you desire. It's not just about vaguely thinking about it, but actually seeing it, feeling it, and believing it as if it's already happening.
So it's about engaging all of our senses and really immersing ourselves in that vision.
Precisely. The more vivid and emotionally engaging your visualization, the more powerful it becomes. You see, your subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's imagined. So when you vividly visualize something, you're essentially sending a powerful signal to the universe that this is what you want to create.
So it's like we're planting the seeds of our desires in the fertile ground of our subconscious minds. But I imagine it takes more than just a one-time visualization to see real change.
You're absolutely right. It takes consistent practice and unwavering belief. The more you focus on your vision, the more energy you give it, and the more likely it is to manifest in your reality.
This is all starting to feel very hopeful. It's like we're being reminded that we have so much more power and agency than we often realize.
That's the beauty of it. And it's not just about manifesting material possessions or external achievements. It's about cultivating a deeper sense of peace, joy, and fulfillment from within.
That's a beautiful message. But I'm curious, earlier we briefly touched on the idea that our consciousness is shifting through countless bodies every moment.
Oh, right.
How does that concept fit into this whole picture of unconscious focus and conscious creation?
That's a great question, and it's definitely one of the more mind-bending concepts Tyagi presents. Essentially, he suggests that our consciousness isn't limited to just this one body in this one lifetime. He proposes that our consciousness is constantly expanding and exploring different realities.
Wow, so it's like we're multidimensional beings experiencing multiple realities simultaneously.
That's one way to think about it.
Yeah.
And while we may not be consciously aware of those other experiences, they're all contributing to the evolution of our consciousness.
That's a pretty incredible concept to wrap my head around.
It is. And what's even more intriguing is that Tyagi suggests our focus plays a key role in determining which realities we experience.
So you're saying our focus in this reality is influencing the experiences we have in other realities?
Exactly. It's like our focus acts as a filter, attracting experiences that resonate with our dominant vibration. So if we're constantly focused on problems, lack, or negativity in this reality, we're more likely to find ourselves in similar experiences in other realities.
That makes sense. But the good news is that we can change the channel, so to speak.
Yes.
We can shift our focus to a different frequency and start experiencing different realities.
Precisely. And that's where the power of conscious creation comes in. By consciously choosing where we place our focus, we can intentionally shift our vibration and attract more of what we desire into our lives, both in this reality and beyond.
Whoa, I'm still processing that idea that our focus in this reality could be influencing our experiences in other realities.
Yeah.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
It is a fascinating concept, and it really highlights the power and responsibility
Mhm.
we have in shaping our reality, both here and now, and potentially in other dimensions as well.
I'm curious, though, if we're constantly shifting through these different realities, why don't we remember them?
That's a great question, and Tyagi addresses that directly.
Yeah.
He suggests that our conscious mind,
Okay.
at least in its current state of evolution, isn't equipped to process the vastness of multidimensional experiences.
Okay.
It's like our brains have a built-in filter that only allows us to consciously access a very narrow band of reality.
So it's like we're tuning into one radio station at a time,
Exactly.
even though there are countless other stations broadcasting simultaneously.
That's a great analogy. And Tyagi suggests that as our consciousness expands, we may start to become more aware of these other realities.
Okay.
He even points to certain altered states of consciousness, like deep meditation or lucid dreaming, as potential glimpses into these other dimensions.
That's really fascinating. But let's bring it back down to earth for a moment.
Okay.
Even if we can't consciously remember these other realities, how can we apply this concept to our everyday lives?
Here's the key takeaway. Even though we may not have conscious access to these other realities, the choices we make and the energy we cultivate in this reality are rippling out and impacting our overall journey.
Okay.
It's like we're sending out vibrations that are attracting similar experiences, both in this dimension and potentially in others.
So even if we're not fully aware of it, we're constantly creating not just in this reality, but in countless others as well.
That's the idea that Tyagi puts forth. And it's a powerful reminder that every thought, every feeling, every action matters. It's all contributing to the tapestry of our multidimensional experience.
Yeah. It makes you think twice about how you're spending your time and energy, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's a call to become more conscious and intentional in our choices.
Yeah.
It's about aligning our focus with the reality we want to experience both in this life and beyond.
This has been such an incredible exploration of unconscious focus. I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on the power of my own mind.
Me too. And I hope our listeners are feeling inspired to explore these concepts further and experiment with the techniques we've discussed.
I have one final question for you.
Yeah.
If you could offer our listeners one piece of advice based on Tyagi's teachings, what would it be?
I would encourage everyone to start paying attention to where their focus is going. Become aware of your thoughts, your feelings, and your reactions.
Okay.
Notice what you're giving your energy to, because your focus is your power. It's the key to unlocking your potential and creating a reality that is truly aligned with your soul's purpose.
That's beautiful advice. And I think it's a perfect note to end on. So to all of our deep divers out there, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep expanding your awareness. And most importantly, never underestimate the power of your own focus. Until next time, keep diving deep.